Chosen Family by thwip Trickster88. Things don't return to normal. What the hell does normal mean at this point anyway? But they do return to order. The world is a mess for a while, but humans have always been exceptionally resilient. 3 months after the return of the dusted, school starts up again. Peter and Ned start their senior year, and Norman entreats him to apply to college. I'm not ready yet, Harry argues, and Norman sneers at him first in surprise at his audacity, then in disgust, and finally anger. You're an adult now, Harry, and you have responsibilities to me, to Oscorp, to your future. Norman slams his drink down and points at Harry viciously. How many times must you learn this, boy? Write your damned essays and stop dragging your feet. I won't have it. Did I raise a pansy for a son? Did I? Harry does not say everything he is bursting with inside. He does not say, but you didn't raise me, not really. And he does not say, what if I don't want your legacy? Norman sighs, the long-suffering sigh that makes Harry shrink. How does he always manage to make Harry feel less than? His father treats him like a spoiled child throwing a tantrum so often he wonders if that's what he really is. There is no one who can make you feel as small as Norman Osborn. You are my son, Harry. You are an Osborn. We're going to change the world. Do you know that? Everything I'm building it for you. Norman's hand is heavy when he rested on Harry's shoulder. It's meant to feel reassuring. It doesn't. His sneer transforms into a tight line, his blue eyes sharp and clear. Norman's hand tightens, controlling, trapping. You will not squander it. I will not allow it. Dad, no. Don't you see, Harry? Don't you see what we're meant to achieve? There's a spark of something in Norman's voice that Harry doesn't hear often. It's excitement, or maybe mania. The line is very thin. Sometimes, with his father, you're young. I know it's difficult, but you will understand when you're older. One day, you'll take my place at the head of Oscorp, and then you'll understand, my boy. Harry isn't sure he'll ever be old enough for his father, but he sends in the applications anyway. Norman Osborn is not a man easily refused. Suddenly, painfully, hopelessly, he misses his mother. Harry is accepted to Empire State University's business major with a minor in biochemical engineering. Peter and May bake him the world's most lopsided cake, and his father takes him, Peter and Ned, to a Mets game in celebration. So it's not the worst thing in the world, all said. It's a boatload of work, compounded by Norman wanting him to start shadowing him more heavily at Oscorp, but he manages. He also gets to see Peter and Ned a lot, now that he's in New York, and that's better. Well, he would see them a lot, except Peter is... He hates to use the word flaky, but it seems the most apt. Peter misses things. He shows up late, egregiously late, or sometimes he doesn't show at all. Ned doesn't seem all that bothered by it when Harry brings it up, and he tries not to take it personally, especially when Peter always shows up later, apologizing profusely and swearing to make it up to him. The excuses are running a little thin, though. There's only so many times Harry can start to hear, sorry, Harry, Mr. Stark needed me for something, confidential project, sorry, before he marches into Stark Tower and demands answers. He's not bold enough to think he could make it all the way to Tony Stark, but he thinks he has enough bluster to make it to HR. Peter looks tired at first. Harry thinks maybe it's nightmares, stress. He died and came back in the middle of an Avengers-level firefight. Harry wouldn't begrudge him a little PTSD. He offers gently for Peter to talk about it if he wants to, or distraction if he doesn't. I'm a pretty good listener, you know, Harry points out, trying to keep it light, but the strained smile on Peter's face makes him wonder whether or not he succeeded. I mean, what you saw, Pete, that's a lot for anyone. Peter sighs and looks out over the water. They're walking by the river today, cold breeze turning their cheeks pink. He's already offered Peter his scarf twice, but he doesn't seem to mind the cold. I was there, after it happened, when Mr. Stark, when he lost his arm. Harry finishes, so Peter doesn't have to. Peter nods and continues looking out over the water. Harry wonders if he's seeing something else entirely. I was there when his heart stopped, when they had to resuscitate, and when that happened. Peter's fingers tighten on the railing, and Harry just watches, waiting. He was so still, Harry. I've never seen him. He doesn't stop moving, like ever. He was so still. He's alive, Pete, Harry reminds him gently, touching Peter's elbow. Peter finally looks at him and smiles, even though it's brittle. Harry looks at him and sees a well of secrets. There is more there than he lets on, and Peter has never been subtle, so he lets it be, because clearly Peter wants to move on, and Harry doesn't begrudge him that either. But then the tardiness continues. Peter gets later and later until Harry stops waiting. He's not angry, not really, but he's frustrated, and the worst part is that Peter always seems so genuinely apologetic, like it really is completely out of his control. But it's ridiculous. Peter misses the volunteer time he'd signed up for with Harry at the shelter for the third time that month, and Harry sees red. He goes to Ned first, because Ned always has a level head, and surely he'll have decent advice about how to confront Peter. But to Harry's astonishment, Ned's advice is not to confront him at all. He's been like this man since before, everything. Ned's bouncing a small basketball against the wall of his bedroom as Harry just stares at him, dumbfounded. That's just, Peter. But why? He's been thrown for a loop, utterly perplexed. If it's not because of the snap or the dusting or whatever the hell they're calling it these days, then what is it? Harry catches Ned's ball on the next throw, pointing at him seriously. And if you say the Stark internship, I swear to God. Well, it is, Ned says defensively. But there's a false note in his tone that makes Harry do a double take. Ned looks. He looks nervous, and he's not looking Harry in the eye anymore. It is. Mr. Stark keeps him really busy, really, really busy. So I've heard. Harry stares at Ned a few moments longer. The other boy shifts uncomfortably in his chair, and the rush of clarity that Ned and Peter are hiding something from him is swift and decisive. But he doesn't pursue it because it hurts. He thought they were friends, not just Peter, but the three of them. He thought they trusted him, and he trusted them, and it sucks. The sudden harshness of realizing there is a door he cannot enter. A door he's not good enough to enter, maybe. He is not kind like Ned. He is not brilliant and warm like Peter. He is lost. Or maybe his father is right, and the things he wants, he is not meant for, no matter how badly he wants them. Peter and Ned are hiding something, Harry tells MJ. While the two of them wait for Peter at the coffee shop they frequent on Thursdays. She rarely looks up from her book when it's just the two of them, and she doesn't now, save for the flicker of her flinty eyes. They seem to soften when she looks at Peter. As she glances up at him in private amusement, then back down to her page. He doesn't know why he says it. It's not like he's come to expect any level of comfort from her. Maybe it's a desperate, last-ditch attempt to not feel shut out in the cold. And really, if he's going to MJ for that, he's desperate indeed. Obviously, she notes, bored, and flips a page, just for the punctuation, he thinks. Took you long enough? Do you know what it is? Harry asks, because he can't not, and this time MJ does look up from her book, unimpressed. Do I look like I care, Osborne? Seriously, tell me that's something that needs to be rectified immediately if I do. Harry says nothing, and she returned to her book. Peter never shows. Harry loses his virginity at 19. It's terrible. He's drunk out of his mind at some party on campus. Or maybe it's off campus. He doesn't even know that's how drunk he is. The boy invites him to come out and dance from where he's being a wallflower, and Harry would have refused except he has Jack's bright blue eyes and a surfeit of curly brown hair. He does not think of who that reminds him of. He won't. He can't. Soft brown curls that flop down over his forehead. So Harry downs the last of his drink and says yes, and the boy takes his hand and leads him out into the crowd. He's not good at dancing, so he downs another shot in between songs, and then another, and then a third, until dancing ceases to matter, and Harry has enough liquid courage to press his mouth to his new friends. It's his first kiss, and it's messy. There's too much tongue, and the other boy tastes like a cheap beer. But Harry keeps going because there's something thrilling about it, too. About doing something for the first time, something he knows Norman would not want him to be doing. And doesn't it feel like everything he does these days, he does for his father? This may not be right, but it's for himself, and that counts for something. The boy asks him if he wants to get out of there in a husky whisper, breath hot against his ear, and Harry confirms that yes, he does. The rest is a blur of drunken arousal and naked skin. It's not the best sex in the world, but it's not bad. Though his bar isn't exactly the most accurate, with zero sample size to compare from. Except the next morning, it is bad. He wakes up in an unfamiliar bed and realizes he doesn't know the name of the person blissfully asleep next to him. He feels nothing. It meant nothing. He doesn't go to parties anymore. Instead, he spends more time with his father. So, I need to ask you something. It's not exactly a promising opening, especially with the way Peter's twisting his hands, but Harry just raises an eyebrow at him as they walk leisurely by the river. The suspense is killing me, Pete. Say something. Peter looks down at his hands, then out at the river, then back down at his hands. Harry smiles privately as they stop by the waterfront, and he reaches out to free Peter's poor wrist from his tight grip. He links their fingers together, like he always has, and Peter can't help but smile, relaxing despite his nerves. Their easy affection hasn't been weird for years, and Harry doesn't second-guess it now, even if his heart does have an irregular rhythm for the briefest of moments. I want to ask MJ to prom. Peter's chewing on his lower lip, distressed, and he finally makes eye contact with Harry. His anxiety revealed, Harry keeps the encouraging smile in place, not without effort, waiting for Peter to continue. But I'm worried she'll say no, and I'll ruin everything. If anyone was going to be weird after turning down a prom date, it wouldn't be Michelle. Harry doesn't dare call her MJ, even when she's not around to hear him. He feels like she'd find out somehow, regardless. Besides, I don't think she'll turn you down. Really? You think she likes me? Harry wonders if Peter's lip is going to stop bleeding, the way he's biting down on it. He squeezes Peter's hand tightly, nodding. I'm pretty sure it's impossible not to like you, Pete. You're a total catch. The whole package, really. Peter snorts, eyeing him like he just claimed the moon was made of cheese. Harry raises an eyebrow again, daring him to challenge him. He does, of course. Easy for you to say when you're a handsome college guy. I'm just, me, plain old Peter Parker. There's nothing plain about you, Harry thinks, but does not say. There are so many things he does not say, things he will never say. This is the boy who took his hand and showed him how to build a sandcastle. There is nothing plain about that, not to Harry. Instead, he says, trust me, okay? Ask her. Don't do any ridiculous proposal. She'll hate it. Do something special, something just for her.